Hello everybody and welcome to the Elite Dangerous live stream. This is another Q&A from our new Q&A series. And today I am joined by the wonderful, the incredible, the excellent Adam Bourke-Waite. Did I get it right this time?
You did.
First time. Thank you so much for joining me. Designer?
Yes.
Senior designer?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not questioning that you deserve the title or anything. I was just wondering. Okay. And of course, over here to my left, we have a programmer, wonderful Dominic Corner. How are you, Dominic Corner?
Hello.
We have managed to track us down a wild programmer, and these two guys specifically deal with stuff to do with missions. So I thought I'd bring them along, and well, what a surprise! We asked in a forum thread about missions, and I thought, well, why don't I bring two guys from the mission stuff? Apparently, there's an echo. That's not good. We don't want an echo. Let me know if the echo goes away. Volume could be better. Mic volume is low. I can work that out. Give me a second. Hello. So this is good. This is what you do. This is professional starting up of a live stream.
Yeah.
Give me 1 minute, and we'll be back in just 1 minute's time. I'm going to go to a back soon screen, and then perhaps even offline as well. So give me just 1 moment. Thanks.
This never happened. We were never here.
Hello again. Hi there. Hello and welcome back. Hopefully you can hear us a little better now, a little clearer, and there is no echo. Do let me know in the chat. I've been told by an audio expert, Matthew Florians, who designed audio on Elite Dangerous, by the way, that he's going to come to this door and do this for me when he tells me that he can hear us nice and clearly. So do let us know in the chat. Much better. No echo here. Oh God, they came back. That's better. Better. Fantastic, sounds good.
God, they
no
came back.
volume, good.
We're back.
So this is an experiment. I'm using a bit of new software as well. Yeah. Oh no, we've got a smiley. We've got something. Hello.
Now you're out of sync.
Oh, we're out of sync. That's okay. We can handle syncing problems. But it's loud.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matthew Florians. Round of applause, everybody in the chat for Matthew Florians there. And that's why it's wonderful having people. Yeah, a little bit out of sync. Well, we'll worry about that some other time. But sorry. Anyway, what are we here for?
To fix the stream and to answer some questions.
What is it that you do? What is it
Day to day? What we do?
Yeah.
So missions here takes a big bulk of what I do. I do other bits as well. I've been on background sim stream with you before. So planning out what we're going to do next with the missions, implementing them takes quite a lot of time. Yeah. Testing them. There's been a fair few other people who've worked on missions, from Dan Greer, Aaron Gordon doesn't work here anymore back in the day, and right now Alex Payne and Justin Rosewell both work on missions as well. So it's more than just me and Dom. There's also Mike.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, there's a fair few people working on them. So.
Yeah. David Braben, of course.
Yes, of course. We've got all the higher ups giving us commands from above.
Yeah. Seriously.
He plugs in his BBC Micro, does a little bit of...
All right. Well, also we do have... I am going to run the game in the background as well, just while we're talking, while things are going on as well. Just a little casual backdrop for...
Questions?
For questions, yeah. And this is where if I show everybody that I'm actually playing in a private group, don't judge me. All right, so yeah. So should we begin? We've got a big old load of questions here.
We don't know if we're going to get through all of them.
I don't know if we will. Do you think? So?
There's 34.
34 questions.
And some of them multi-part.
Should we do?
It's a lot of them.
Should we start with? Should we start with some questions then?
Okay.
Do you want me to jump in? I'll jump in. I'll read the questions as well. So first of all, Robert Maynard, thank you very much. These have all come from the forums as well as Reddit a little bit as well. And we will take some time to answer some questions from the chat as well. So...
And from that guy.
And from that guy. So chat as well. So we're taking questions from the chat throughout now as well. So thank you very much for joining us as well. Can I just say?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Hi everyone.
Right. So missions Q&A.
Yep.
First of all, guys, where are we at with missions? That's my question. Where do you feel like we're at in terms of the development of missions generally? Is this a sort of is it an ongoing thing, just like the rest of the game, or?
Yeah. So missions has been ongoing for as long as the game's been coming out. Obviously, we've had a couple of overhauls and things like that. We're currently, with the beta that's running at the moment, doing some, I'm in specifically, doing some reward passes to try and get rewards to a place we want them to be. There's some questions about that, so I can cover it later, but there are fixes in that beta as well, so go and have a look. And we're constantly looking to tweak things whilst also trying to implement new, bigger features.
So what does the relationship between the designer and the programmer mean?
I bother Dom a lot.
He
How does that
bother
work?
me a lot. So he will tell me, hey, I need to be able to do this thing, and I'll go, no, you don't need to do this thing, this is what you need to do instead.
Okay.
But
Basically.
Thanks, Tom.
It happens a lot.
All right.
So basically the stuff which I do will be writing the moment-to-moment stuff, which it's picking up on, like for a massacre mission, he'll say you need to kill 4 things with our wonderful missions editor, and I will make the game actually go, right, well, killing a ship is this thing, let's pick up, was it the right ship? When I killed it, then we'll progress the mission. Then we'll go, is this enough ships to complete it? And if it is, then we've completed it, and that's basically an incredibly simple version of what our massacre mission is.
Okay, wonderful. So just so you're aware, if you come onto this live stream for the first time, we are doing a Q&A series here where we're going deeper into what all different elements of Elite Dangerous and getting specific questions from the forums. So today is all about missions, that's why I've got these 2 on here, but also it might mean that if you don't care about missions, then it might think it'll drive.
You might learn something.
Learn a lot. Yeah, you'll learn a lot about the game and how the game works behind the scenes a little bit, but also maybe perhaps the direction that things are going to as well. So let's stop. And also, I'll do a giveaway at the end as well. Why the heck not? So do stick around to the end.
Might win something.
Or just come back 5 minutes towards the end. All right, so number 1 question, Robert Maynard. Thank you very much, Robert Maynard. I think you're in the chat here as well. Do say hello if you're on the chat. When will players be able to share missions with wing members, and how would same be rewarded? How would it be rewarded?
So shareable wing missions is a thing we want to do, but it's currently not in the immediate roadmap. It's not going in 2.3. But I think it'd be really cool. It just requires a lot of consideration about how do you do wing missions, how exactly are they shared. It's just going to be a bit of work. So no ETA on that one.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we want to do, and out of a lot of them, that one actually raises a lot of questions, and probably a lot of questions that we haven't even thought of. The kind of aspect of that, just the multiplayer aspect of it, kind of just causes some core problems that are more difficult to solve than some of the other things we want to do.
Okay, brilliant. Next question. Why don't you ask Dom his question?
So the next one is from
Sandro says no. Okay.
How do you pronounce that name?
Kokalarix.
Okay. Asks, what's the reason behind the low number of missions we can get from a faction? I'd love to have 5 to 10 different missions from each faction. Is this a design decision, technical limitation, or a bug? And Dom's going to take that one.
Well, so first off, there's the design decision, then there's the technical limitation, and then there's the bug. So currently in the live one, it's mostly technical. When we put in the passenger missions, they are sharing an allocation with the normal missions. Sorry, we don't call them missions. Passenger contracts.
Mm-hmm.
They share an allocation with the normal missions. So if we have 40 we have 40 missions which we're making in total. Those have the passenger missions and the normal ones, and sadly that means that the split isn't always even. You might have more passengers than normal ones, but in the current PTS beta, or since last Thursday, in fixing a bug, I introduced another bug where you had incredibly low numbers of missions, which has been fixed today. So now it's just the technical limitation of I've created more missions and we are sending less data, so you have fewer missions, but you will have about 20 missions now.
Okay.
Previously we were sending through all the missions from the full bank. Now we're overfilling the bank and we're giving you only the ones which you ask for. So if you ask for passenger contracts, you only get passenger contracts. If you ask for mission board, you get only mission board. Can I unravel that?
Yeah, and also Huros says, I am confused.
You are very confused.
I'm a little confused too.
Okay, so...
And to be honest, that's not unusual.
Okay.
You're confused because
Right.
it's complicated,
It's complicated,
and
okay.
technically difficult.
Right.
Let's go to the current PTS then. The build which went out today, you should have more... we should have more missions now coming through than we did before. You should get about 20 missions for the mission board and about 20
Okay.
missions for
So
the passenger
you're going to
board.
start seeing more missions, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah. The reason why it's 20 is because it's mostly it's the amount of data we're sending to you. So
Okay.
a lot of people were seeing the failed to connect message. That's because it was taking more than 30 seconds for you to download all the missions.
Right.
Yeah, so from a maybe higher level point of view, is we only
Yeah.
have so much time to create all the missions you want. So the missions are complicated and they take a while to make each.
Okay.
So we're basically we've restructured things, so you'll probably get about 20 missions, and
There you go.
that's a good amount out of the sort of time you have.
That's what, if I can understand that. What you're going to get is a technical answer from Dom.
That answer is why I'm usually not on this stream.
No, Dom, Corner, you're more than welcome. Everybody, please say thank you
I
to
think
Dom
it's
Corner in the
really good because it shows the kind of the level of things that we're dealing with. You know, it's very
Yeah.
easy to say make more missions,
Yeah.
but we only have so much time, and I mean
That's 38.
I mean literally when you ask for missions, we only have so much time to give you those missions,
Mhm.
so we can only give you so many missions in that time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
38 is just the name of don't worry about that. All right. No, question number 3 of 34, and we're already 50 minutes in. Good.
It's double
yeah.
of mine.
Why are FDev still permitting mode switch missions stacking? Mode switch / mission stacking. A, for mission stacking in general, kill credits contributing to every mission. B, for gaining access to 3 times. And by the way, I'm just reading out verbatim what the question is. I'm not hiding any of the information. So neither of these are any good. Why aren't they being fixed? From Anonym.
Anonym. So, A, for mission stacking in general, being kill credits contributing to each mission, there's not an easy fix for this one. That's basically it. Because if you have 4 missions which each want to go for the same ship, and you blow up that ship, which one do we credit that kill to? Do we do it to the one with the fewest kills left to take? What if that wasn't the one which you wanted to go to? In order to fix it, we're going to basically require a lot of time. GUI, I don't know when we're going to get the time to do it. So, sadly, it's not
complicated.
It's,
It sounds
it's not an
complicated.
easy answer. For gaining access to 3 times as many missions from a single station as would be available, so that's the mode switching. It's again not an easy one. So the way the missions
This is
work.
good so far. This is good. Are there any positives in this? In the
Always,
questions?
there's loads of
Well,
positives.
alright.
So the reason why I requested this Q&A was just so I can get this information out there. So
Okay.
it's not all positive,
You wanted to
but
do
at
this.
least you get information about
okay,
it.
yeah.
People have
Yeah.
been asking these questions for a while, and I wanted
Great answer, Dom.
people
So
to-
pleased, says Huros. There you go. Look at that.
so-
See, he's satisfied.
Each of our transaction servers generates their own missions. When you switch between modes, sometimes you don't get to the same server. If you go from open to solo, it's almost guaranteed. In fact, it might be guaranteed that you won't be on the same server. because the open play servers are handling networking between players and the solo ones aren't, so they have a little bit more leeway for extra people.
Okay, Janar Hofoen says, Ed, just let the devs answer their questions, please. Sure.
Gnar Hafon. It's from the culture.
Next question then.
This is another one for Dom
Okay.
to answer, but I'll ask it.
Okay.
It's from Rubber Nuke.
I'll just see.
Will engineers ever be able to give you missions that are rewarded with things you need? For example, could Todd have missions that provide articulation motors, unicorn hair, all the time, thus cutting out the roulette of madness, trademark, that we have in regular missions elsewhere?
The roulette of madness.
The roulette of madness and the unicorn hair. So for now, the answer is no, engineers will not be able to give you missions. That's because engineers are not factions. Who knows, sometime in the future we may be able to do that, but the way in which engineers are implemented is not as factions. So they can't give you missions. That said, there are 4 engineers who do have their own factions associated with them, like Marco Gwent. I think he's associated with Sirius. So it's possible we could have the factions which own an engineer giving out missions which give things for those people. So probably not engineer missions, but in the future, in the short-term future, we may be able to have missions to do with engineers.
Yeah, we could potentially try and set up missions that rewarded a specific material type as a reward, so that you don't have to go through the roulette of madness, trademark, to get that specific one. You may be able to go to a place and get missions that will be guaranteed to reward that. So that is interesting, feedback on the rewards. As I said, we're doing rewards pass earlier, so that's interesting, something we'll take in mind and something we'll think about.
He just contradicted himself. All engineers are part of a faction of sorts. That's not true. So engineers are not factions and they're not part of factions. There are some similarities between them, but they are not the same thing. They may also have some nebulous ties, but as far as I'm aware, not every engineer is.
Can I move to the next question?
Yes.
I'm going to have to. The reason why I have to move things on is because we have a time
we have
limit.
to go a bit faster.
So, will engineers... No, sorry, that's the wrong question. Alec Turner, have you considered the idea of getting the fabulous ED community, that's you guys, to supply you with some richer, more varied and interesting mission outlines as well? Even richer, she should say.
So
it's already very rich.
Thanks for the question, Alec. Last time we had Q&A, I think we did also have the same question. One in which I basically went on to say, and obviously was cut on time, so potentially maybe go back to that YouTube video and have a look through the answer. But the big answer is, it's very easy because these missions on the face of them seem very simple, and I understand that many of them are just taking one thing from A to B. They seem very simple, but they're actually a lot more complicated. So the idea of giving community tools out is a lot more difficult than it potentially sounds, and trying to make the kind of information that to put the information out there so that it would be an easy task to do, or making a program with the GUI that makes it a reasonable task is a lot of work, and not something that we'll be looking to do in the short term. Sorry, I understand that people would love to make missions, and that people are constantly imagining fantastic missions that could occur. So are we, and we're trying to make them, but we only have so much time, and it's difficult.
Yeah. Any comment on that?
No, I think he's basically said
Fantastic.
everything.
Next question then is from Jukello. And you are wanting me to just read through these questions as we go? Okay, well, Jukello says, currently virtually all missions except charity, and remember, I'm reading these verbatim. It's not my opinion. I feel like I'm the messenger.
We're not taking you to account.
Requires you to jump to another system and then back again. Are there any plans to add more intra-system missions? So if a minor faction hires me to kill a pirate lord, I'd expect that at least sometimes the pirate happened to be terrorising the system given the mission, rather than always another. Thank you, Jukello.
So I'll take this one. It is currently possible that will happen with the current system. So basically, a lot of the time we set up, the missions will look for a target in a system, and we set them up between a boundary. So it could be between 0 light years away, which will be the system you're in, or it could be 100 light years away, or in some cases 500 light years away. So there is always a possibility, but I do take the point that we could potentially create variants at some point that were inter-system based only. There is a difficult thing of that would have to be a variant on its own to guarantee it, and as soon as you don't guarantee it, because of the way probability works, you're very unlikely to see it unless you put between 0 and 5 light years. As soon as you kind of go into any reasonable distance, you're likely to go out that distance, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So we could make a variant that always 100% of the time was within your system. The only thing is, as I said, the templates are very complicated, and especially with variants, if for example we do an assassination mission variant, if we then come along and decide we want to change something in assassination, we then have to change it in every single variant, which means we try to have a structure that has as few variants whilst giving the best variety as possible, because of just maintenance and the amount of time. Because if we could very easily get into a situation where when we try and change something for a new feature, the feature can't go out because we haven't had the time to make that feature active in all of the variants.
Interesting.
So it's always a kind of risk-reward prioritizing kind of job. But I do take that one, and it's something we'll look at, and I do agree with the point, and it's an interesting one.
Very good. I think we've got a question for you. Next up, which is
yes.
from Arguendo, and there will be time to talk to some guys in the chat. We'll take on, we'll do a couple more questions here, then we'll answer some from the chat, and then we'll move back onto the questions here again. Have you considered making the materials, commodities, rewards reflect your status with the faction? I.e., when cordial, you get 1, friendly, you get 2, and allied, you get 3. This would certainly help also a bit with the hard-to-come-by materials such as exquisite focus crystals.
So the answer to this one is basically no, we've not considered doing that. but also, I've got it down here that I should probably explain how we work out which materials and commodities we give to people as rewards.
Sure.
Also, just a quick one, the exquisite focus thing was a bug, and we believe it's been fixed.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, it is in the patch notes for today's build, I think. So that should be fixed.
Came at 3 p.m. today, so if you have a video of GMT.
But yeah, the way in which we give you commodities is basically we work out how many credits we're going to give you. We do everything in credits, and then we work out whether we're going to make some of those credits or all of those credits be commodities or materials. So every commodity or material has a amount of credits which it is worth. For commodities, it's the galactic average. For materials, since they don't actually have a worth, there's just some values in there for it. So it's not so much we can go, hey, you're allied and we're going to give you 3. We go, right, you're getting 2 million credits, and because you're getting 2 million credits, 1 million credits of those are now going to be exquisite focus crystals.
Cool. Can I ask the next question to Dom?
I thought it was on the notes. It says that it's your question that you're supposed to.
Yeah, but I've looked at the comments, and so far Dom's said no to everything so far. So I'm fixing it. I'm fixing it to make sure that he can say yes.
Well, Orcus CZ says, "Is that Sandro No Samarco in disguise?"
I've not just said no.
Okay,
but I'm every mission I see offers ++, medium reputation increase. It's been a long time since I've seen plus or +++. Is this a known issue or intentional?
So no.
Main sequence, thank you.
Yes, it's a known issue which went in a little while ago. It's apparently now been fixed by the designers on our internal builds, and will be going out at some point in the future. I don't know if that's in the 2203 build or whether it will just be waiting until 2.3. But those contract elements are actually they're not procedurally generated from how much reputation you're getting. They're set on a per template basis. So it's a mission gives you generally a medium increase rather than you are getting an increase of X size and that X goes to medium. So you may be getting a high increase still, but you're only seeing ++. Like the contract element won't have actually changed that.
So you've been getting the right stuff. It just hasn't been showing you that it has.
Yeah. It will have at the end where it tells you how many rep points you got.
Okay, mission filters?
Yeah.
All right, mission filters. This is a question from Methane. It says, many people have mission types that they don't like at all and won't do because they don't now have the ship for it. Will that ever be a thing where you can filter the type of mission that you want to take?
This is quite a technical one, so I am going to have to pass over to Dom.
We'll just go sit there going.
So, mission filters. I don't want to say no.
It's okay. It's better than saying nothing.
So missions are not generated for a person. When you go to a board, it doesn't go, I'm going to generate missions for, who was this? Methane. It's not creating methane missions. It is actually creating missions for everybody who goes to that system for, at minimum, the next 15 minutes, at maximum, the next hour. So it will generate missions for everyone, and then you get those missions from there. That said, I can envision a time in the future where we, in theory, could have somebody filtering stuff, but it requires GUI work, and it's possibly not the highest priority.
Any comment?
He's correct.
He's correct. Yeah. Number 10, from DM Stubbs, I don't seem to be making any enemies doing missions, only friends and allies. Does this need a balance pass?
Have you tried failing the missions more? I'm joking, but that is actually generally kind of a point. One of the issues is you guys generally don't, I think I said this last time, you guys play the game, you generally don't fail. You tend to want to be winners, and you all are generally winners. But as I said, I'm doing a missions reward pass at the moment, and by that I generally mean the credits and the cargo and the materials, so the kind of money reward pass. I think we did recently have someone go through and do a pass about making sure that when you do a mission that affects other people, for example assassination, they correctly have that effect. So if you've gone and killed the pirate lord, the pirate faction will get negative effects. I'm not sure when that's going in for, so no ETAs, but it's something we're looking at, and something we'll continue to look at through balance passes in the future.
Are you okay there?
Yeah, I'm just trying to find a question I can say yes to.
You'll find one. We'll get there. We're gonna smash through some more because that's
probably pick up the
it's
pace
okay.
as well.
It's right. Bush Ranger says he's got a two-part question. 11.1. Is it possible to distinguish between the different types of entities scanning your ship? If I'm smuggling slaves for the Sobek Boys faction and I'm interdicted by pirates, does it really matter if they scan my contraband cargo? Who are they going to report it to? Along similar lines, the famous explorer really mind that a station type or police type entity scans the ship for contraband. Are they trying to steal their field notes? So is this possible? Is this a thing?
So I want to quickly jump in before this was labelled as a dull answer, but I do want to quickly jump in with they're a faction. So I know it seems like it's just, Sobek and his boys are coming after you and being like, hey, we asked you to do a thing, but you do have to consider these people. For example, a faction in Lave has billions of people. So it's not necessarily that black and white, that cut and dried, that you taking a mission for them doesn't mean that other sections of that, especially the authorities in that system, are going to react to you because you've taken that mission. However, do see the cognitive dissonance, but that affects how much of a priority a fix like this is going to be.
Interesting. Well, there you go. Dom?
Yeah, and my second bit was, is it possible to distinguish between them? Yes, it is. It's possible. We don't currently do it, but in theory we could check who was scanning us if we cared.
He doesn't normally say yes.
Oh, that's pretty impressive. You just wanted to make it a yes, didn't you?
That one was half a yes, half a no, so
okay,
he didn't know I did the yes.
11.2. Concerning passenger missions that require 34 questions plus point questions in between.
We said 34, but we meant 34 in parts.
Concerning passenger missions that require luxury cabins, I found that they are extremely rare to come across. Considering you need to be flying one of only 2 ships to even consider accepting them, is there a chance they're going to be tweaked to be more common? So those of us who are flying an Orca or a Beluga can find them easier.
So the quick answer is yes, they can be rebalanced, and I will take the feedback on board. However, there is also always a thing of the reason they were probably set that low to begin with was because we wanted passenger missions to be taken and enjoyed by as wide a range of people as possible, and locking off too many of them isn't fun for anyone who doesn't have a beluga or an orca. I appreciate that those ships are specially designed for that. They do get the benefit of having those cabins and taking those passengers that will only take luxury, and it's getting that percentage of passengers who just want luxury right, which again is a balancing thing and takes a while and is difficult with a game of this scope and size with the amount of players. We don't, if we'd have gone the other way, we would have people complaining that I can never take passenger missions because I haven't got the cabin, which in my opinion is a worse complaint than I've got a luxury cabin and sometimes I feel like I'm not getting enough people.
Interesting.
Because you can put lower people into them.
The difficult compromise of video game design,
Yeah.
Especially a game complicated such as this. So, as mentioned before, TJ, he has a question about using the community for mission ideas. Well, we did cover that earlier. It's something that would be very, very difficult and complicated and technical to do.
Yeah.
13. Just ask one question, and that's Amerix.
Well, we've missed 12. Do you want to do 12?
No, that was 12. That was the
yeah,
one I was talking about. TJ having a question.
And I think 13's been covered as well, really.
Yeah,
It's one to
where
do
are
with
the missions. There's going to be more.
Where are the missions?
More are coming.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
15.
Yeah.
Hopefully, go on. What are you going to say?
Well, hopefully there'll be more missions.
Okay. Hopefully. Sure.
The fact is, as we've been working on this a lot recently, trying to get this right, it's not an easy one to get right, and we're still working on it. But
at the very least, I think the number of missions should be easier. Like it should be a nicer split. It shouldn't be as heavily weighted towards one of the boards over the other.
Yeah, more consistency.
Wonderful. So, question number 15 is from Merida. Do you feel that removing rank locks from missions affected the feeling, we skipped over 14, the feeling of progression within the game, and is there a plan to add them in again to certain mission types?
I don't feel that removing rank locks has had a negative effect on the game. I actually think that with the amount of people who are doing missions, and especially with the amount of missions we're able to spawn, it's important for people not to come up against too many brick walls. It gives players the choice to try and challenge themselves. I just think there's so many more benefits from it being open than from it being closed. It's just inclusive rather than exclusive. Mm-hmm. As for whether we can use it, there's some other questions later about the possibility of using elite rank missions, which is a thing.
I like that. Yeah. You're hinting at a later
foreshadowing.
Question.
Can I
yes, of course
just address Ian Matheson or McPherson? Hopefully, so it works in all the test cases I've used on the PTS and in local, but there are a lot of stations. There's a lot of different BGS states, so it's possible that it's not going to be as good in some states as others.
Mm-hmm. If you were looking for a live stream that wasn't going to contain any jargon, then I do apologise about this one. PTS for not to get too inside baseball on it and stuff, but
public test server.
I know. I mean, some people might not.
The server which we let some people into.
There you go. All right. So the Baron. They break everything.
The Baron.
That's what you want, though, right? For multi-stop passenger missions, can we be paid for each successful leg of the trip rather than being punished and getting nothing for making a mistake near the end?
So the big difference really between a cargo mission and a passenger mission is the fact that the passengers can get disgruntled, and I feel taking away from that takes away from the difference, and therefore at the moment it's not a change that I'm really looking to make. The whole point is if you take an elite VIP passenger, it should be hard to keep them happy, and if they make demands, they are basically like a barmer sitting next to you in a taxi going, go get us some whiskey or something. You're probably going to do it because you don't want a barmer to get out of your taxi because it's a barmer, for example.
What's a barmer?
A barmer.
A barmer. It's that sort of example. The gameplay here is to try and keep those passengers happy. And that's the difference between them and normal delivery missions.
Excellent, well done. Good answer. Question number 17. Procedurally generated. I don't know why I'm reading out the numbers. I didn't need to do that at the start.
Especially as before this, you know.
And you've crossed some out. Yeah. So I'm gonna have to
We've crossed out some that we thought were duplicates of others.
Yeah.
So now the numbers are out.
Right, we're gonna stop at that point. The next question is from W. Stevenson, and I think there's a couple of questions here. Yeah. Procedurally generated chained missions. These were in 1.5 2.0 briefly, then they were patched out again. Can you give us any background on why this happened and if they'll be making a return?
This is an interesting one.
Okay.
So I assume you're talking about the kind of courier missions we had that were like a postman delivery where you go to one station and then it asks you to move on to another station and then another station. We took them out because we received feedback and we felt kind of, after taking another look at them, that perhaps didn't provide the kind of experience that we wanted. However, part of the reason we put them in was because it was kind of a test bed for that, whether that sort of thing can work. And yeah, it's an interesting one of whether missions that move into other missions or into doing more things is something we want to do. And that is interesting.
Wonderful. Anything to add?
It's just very interesting.
All right, second part of the question. What is the limiting factor in implementing new mission types? I think we sort of covered this. Oh no, this is new types rather than missions. Is it the mission scenario and wrinkle logic, or the moment-to-moment logic for when a mission places you in a USS scenario? What steps are you taking?
So I'll get a bit more technical with this. So for example, if we wanted to add a thing about scanning something, for example, or say if we wanted to add in, and this isn't me hinting at anything, say a photography thing, if you take a picture of a base. To do that, I would have to create a design. The design would have to get looked at. Someone would, it would get the sign of approval, this one. Dom would then have to go away and he would have to create what we call MPEs, which are mission progression elements, and variable generators, which are generators that generate variables. And once all of that work's done, we can then look at making the new template. So there's already quite a lot of work that goes in to just that one thing before it's even hit me to come back and be like, now you can create the template. Once I've created the template and all the additional things that go with it, the side panel, any inbox messages, what happens when you decide to abandon the mission, any wrinkles, any of that sort of thing, I then have to test it. So that's the kind of progress that it takes, and that's why it takes a long time. And that's kind of a simple example.
Yeah, and then there's GUI time.
And often we key into whether something has already been added to the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, there's just everything other than what Adam does and what I do. It all exists, and we need to go into their schedules as well. So,
Zorbank69 says it sounds easy.
yeah, it's very easy.
All right, so okay, another question here. We have sort of second. Oh no, that was the second point.
Okay.
Please let us accept missions for which we don't have the cargo space for our current ship. It's annoying to be unable to take a mission I could do in another ship. Most of us are capable of working out for ourselves what we need to do to fulfill a mission. Says Wyaston Hypatia.
This one we flagged as a Dom answer.
Here we go.
So I had a flippant remark, and then we decided that I probably shouldn't be rude to people.
I think that being rude is probably not.
But what the main reason why we don't allow you to accept missions in ships other than being able to complete them is because the mission needs to know that you can complete it. And the mission does not look at every other ship you have in the game and whether you can buy all the things which you'll need. The mission goes, you are in this Anaconda. The Anaconda has enough space to hold this mission. Therefore, you can take the mission. If you went there in a Sidewinder, you wouldn't have as much space, so you can't do it. That's a really simple example, but if it was a more complicated mission, we just get into all sorts of strange edge cases if we allow you to accept it without proving by being in that ship.
Yeah, basically, in a way, we could allow you to do that, but we would probably receive a lot more grief for doing it for the people who don't understand and are taking missions that they then have to abandon.
If you did it by accident, if you took one which you thought you could take and finish, but you actually couldn't, then your only recourse would be to abandon that mission. Yeah. And that's always a negative effect, and we don't want to force you into that situation.
Yeah, as Osric says, they were actually removed originally because people they weren't able to do that. So initially, all right, fantastic. There used to be elite-only missions. Sorry, here's this question from Edelgard von Rhein. He says there used to be elite-only missions. Example, obfuscated in the Outer Rim. Will these or similar missions return? It was potentially a great idea to help progress an in-game storyline. Did dozens of these and wondered if they were really a part of a hidden CG, like a driving meta. How do you feel about generating more missions? Oh no, that's a different question. So there you go.
So-
was that clear?
The concept
What's he
of
asking there?
elite only missions. I was under the impression that there were some in game, and this isn't the first time I've heard this. But up until recently, I was under the impression that there were some in game. We're hearing that they potentially aren't, so it's potentially a bug. It's something that I need to investigate and look into and see why. And if it's a simple fix, hopefully we can get them back in the game. If it's a less simple fix, then obviously that's less simple to get them back.
So if he can't see how it's not going right, then I'll take a look. And I usually can work it out reasonably quickly because I have the ability to look inside the ED server and see its soul.
Well, nice. All right, so a
I
second part of that question. Is that, sorry, was that?
No, that's fine.
Good.
Yep.
How do you feel about generating more missions through encountering NPCs and communicating through the inbox? There's an example there, but I won't bother reading it.
This is a Dom answer.
Dom.
Generating more missions through encountering NPCs through the inbox. I feel conflicted. So everybody hopefully now knows that there are missions which are given to you while you're just moving around the galaxy. But they don't appear hugely often, and the reason for that is basically if we were constantly generating missions while you were flying around, it would be a lot more server load. Because there are a lot more people flying around not being docked and looking at a mission board than there are flying around in space getting missions. However, if you want a greater chance of getting these missions, the secret is staying in one place for 15 minutes. After that point, we do a request to the server for a non-station mission. Whether or not that will actually become obvious to you, because they're in the background and they only activate when you do something. But in the future, maybe we'll have more which give you an inbox message straight away. I don't know.
Yeah, there could be work done there. So some of them will start spawning USSs and that sort of thing, and perhaps a mission will only start if you scoop a particular thing. For example, potentially like a black box. I don't know if that's a definite example, but that sort of thing. You can imagine you scoop a black box and then you get an inbox message and you want to take it somewhere. It's that kind of thing, which means with the structure of the game, and once again I'm falling on this old chestnut with the scale of the game, it can be difficult to make an in-space mission that people will actually, we can't ever guarantee you're going to get it. And so they are going to be very, very rare.
Yeah. And as a technical limitation, we only give these missions if you're in a system which is populated. So you won't be getting them elsewhere, but they can trigger things to be happening in places which aren't populated. So if you're if you go somewhere and it says, well, that system next door, we're going to spawn a USS which has a black box in it. You will see a USS with a black box in it. If you go to that system, you can pick up that black box, and then you'll get an inbox message. It'll tell you to bring it somewhere, or something like that.
Well, there you go. We've got a question in here from the chat as well. Actually, I did try and have a look through to see if you were covering it in here about military missions from Osric, and then also Phil Coots also brought that out as well. A few others.
So we're aware of the desire of the community for something, and it's something that we don't have anything to announce soon, or no ETA or anything like that.
Sundays, no ETAs, no promises.
No promises.
Guarantees.
But all I'm going to say is it's something that is being looked at or investigated, effectively.
Yeah. Okay. And just for those who don't know what they mean by that, it's through the military rankings, right?
Yeah.
In the same way that you would accept the missions based upon, right?
Yeah, or just generally, what I'm really talking about is missions that involve those kind of big superpower stuff. Okay. Generally.
And I suppose that then could fall back into questions you were answering earlier about fitting in with that lore and doing the things for the big major factions and affecting the world overall. Yeah, it's a really interesting prospect. Another question, unless you want to chime in?
That's fine. This one's my one anyway.
This one's your one. You're excited about that. Do you want to read it?
Quite a long
he's
one.
He's going to read it. He's going to answer it.
When there is opposition to a mission, the format is always something like 4 times 1 competent Federal assault ship, so that if you defeat the first ship, another one exactly the same replaces it until there are no more. Is it possible to have more variation rather than repetition? For example, you could have a dropship with 4 sidewinders attacking at the same time. If you destroy the dropship, the encounter would be passed. No faction is going to send bounty hunters one at a time, and I'd like to have more use made for groups of smaller ships. And that's from 16 String Jack.
Thank you, 16 String Jack.
So it is technically possible. It requires a lot of balancing, but we could have the guy who's coming after you is actually a guy with a wing. We could also have it so if we wanted to make the mission template more complicated, we could have the type of ship which is coming after you change.
Interesting.
But there's no ETA and no guarantees.
It's also a difficult it's difficult to balance.
Yeah.
And the kind of logic behind it has to get a lot more complicated based on rank and that sort of thing, and is actually does become substantially more work. It sounds like it should be really easy, but
I'm noticing
it
a
isn't.
theme here. It's hard.
Yeah, it's things
Making
take.
games is hard.
It's even if you excuse the difficulty of doing it, it's often just there's only so many of us. There's only so much time. So actually the big thing of what we just talked about would probably just take one of our designers quite a long time to do.
Okay.
We want to kind of keep the idea of you being hunted by a group of people. That doesn't necessarily mean they have to all hit you at once. So I understand it's perhaps not the best right now, but it is just a completely different feel to send 4 people at you at once rather than 4 sets of 1 person. So that has to be thought about and tested and balanced as well.
Yeah, and then it's again even more different if it's 4 sets of 4 people.
Yeah.
Mark Hicks says, question 1.
Can I just kind of skim over this? It's basically, are we doing more things for passages for 2.3, 2.4? I don't think we're announcing anything for 2.3, especially not announcing anything for 2.4 right now.
Never heard of it. That's what we
yeah.
say. Never heard of what?
It doesn't look like anything to me.
Go on. Nice reference. All right. So,
are there any plans to increase the variety of ways in which mission branches can trigger, like players scanning things or salvaging items, perhaps? That's always something we're looking to do as we move forward. So whenever we're trying to do new features, we're always trying to develop a tool set within our within the mission template system that means we can, if we get time, go back and improve things earlier on. So things like new mission progression elements, like being able to scan someone, would be great because we can put it into earlier things. So a big example of that would be the nav beacon scanning that we've added into nearly all missions. When you're looking for something, you can now go scan the nav beacon. That was something that was added in, and then we've gone back and added it to all the missions. So it's that kind of progression, and that's keys into the maintenance thing I said earlier, where if we want to keep that thing of something new happening and it being an effect across all the missions, the maintenance issue is something to keep an eye on.
Wonderful.
And someone on stream, Mr. Tang, I think it was,
Good name.
asked about because we generate missions for everybody, if you spent too long, could somebody else take it? No. What we do is we generate a base mission and then a base set of missions, and then when you request them, we scale them for you. So it's more that the types of missions don't change than the missions don't, and so these are personalised for you and you can take them. Somebody else will have a similar mission which they can take, but that doesn't affect you. As people are already aware, like you go to the board and you find the massacre mission, and you'll all take the massacre mission and then go and play together.
Okay, it's a very specific question from the chat. He just answered it asked it a few times. Striker, missions to pick up the crew we lose when we die. That way we don't lose it. In crew, he means his fighter pilots, I'm assuming. He spent 20 plus hours leveling them up and then they just die. Is there any way in the future they could do sort of
potentially in the future? That
it's very specific.
That requires keying in between those two systems quite strongly, and is a question that kind of goes beyond our remit, really. It would,
I don't believe it.
Yeah.
Nothing can
It
be
involves all the people who are doing that kind of multi-crew or crew gameplay, and whether they have the time to help queue it into something that Dom can then hook onto.
Get my hooks onto.
Yeah, that would actually be really quite complicated.
Good to know. All right.
I'm not sure if any of the stuff we would need for that currently persists past the point where they're dead, so I don't know.
Okay, Crimson Kime, because we are already at 10-2. Let's just try and fire through as many of these as possible.
Yeah, I
will cut in when I want to move on, because sorry guys, I'm really sorry. Will there be any missions that require top tier loadouts and/or top tier experience with rewards that match top tier levels? Currently, it's not the case. Well, sometimes the reward is high and the requirements are low. The combination of both is not given. So, will there be a reasonable income with a reasonable challenge for experienced and wealthy commanders? Thank you very much for your question.
Well, that's the challenge, isn't it? That's
your challenge.
That is my challenge, and it's very difficult. If you just take a delivery mission, for example, you've not got where you're going. You've got where you're going, how far it is, what cargo you're taking, how much of it you're taking. And that's just a baseline of kind of what we need to kind of work out what the rewards should be. So, and the rank and your reputation.
Yeah.
So trying to balance something where I've just mentioned 6 variables at a minimum are going into
on the most simple types of missions.
Yeah,
as well.
On a game where our money goes from tens of thousands to literally the billions.
Yeah.
It's just a sense of scale that makes balancing incredibly tough. But I am doing a balancing pass at the moment, and I'm doing it using the data I'm dragging off of the servers, because frankly anecdotal evidence is effectively useless. So we're trying to really hit that kind of data-based balancing, and that's what I'm doing. Obviously we had some issues recently that we're hopefully fixing. But there's another thing which is that goes a bit higher, actually, in that as a game we are looking at the economy as it is. So there are people who are talking about how the economy is in the game. So I hear a lot when we're dealing with our kind of exploits or missions that give probably far too much money, that it's potentially a symptom that people are finding it difficult to get to that next ship. So yeah, did just want to mention that the economy is being reviewed, and that the mission balance pass is part of that.
Cool.
I think it should probably.
I was just going to say the wing missions thing that people have been.
Oh no, that wasn't even what I was looking for.
Can I go for this one? Because there's a few people asking about wing missions. They might not have been here from the very start of the live stream. So wing missions, is that something that's possible?
It's not on the near radar.
And go back and watch the start. Just go. Adam goes. Adam.
We do give a better
to,
reason than that.
A lot of detail as to why it's something that's technically. Anyway, so what were you going to reference?
So I just wanted to do a little bit of explanation to Sinead Sanvin. They basically said, "Oh wow, calling player reports useless." It's not that player reports are useless. It's that every report which we do, it's just up slightly.
It's okay.
But it's not that the player reports themselves are useless. It's that for every report we do get, there are probably like 100 which we don't get.
Yeah.
So
that's
the edge cases are very edge casey.
Okay. Sure.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not that anecdotes.
Very important.
It's useless. It's that.
I absolutely want to stress that's not what I was saying. A lot of the time, player reports are absolutely very useful in locating bugs. We use them all the time. I have a list of things to look at, most of which come from the forums. But when I'm looking at something based on money, I can't take one example of that money. You would much rather me work on data. Otherwise, you would have a balance that was swinging even more wildly than perhaps you say it is now. It's really important to use both tools of someone pointing out that something's wrong, and then using the data we have at hand to try and, find out why.
Excellent. Good answer. Okay. So skipping ahead a tiny little bit, for material mission rewards, can you consider increasing the rewards to 3 per 1, so the material reward is 3 to 12 instead of 1 to 4, matching the much better general drop rates of materials? That was Neotron.
So as Dom said earlier, this is something we could do, and we will take that feedback on board because we do like player reports. But as said earlier, those materials cost money out of the credits you would receive for the mission. So if we take it above 4 to 12, you may start seeing missions that have considerably lower credit rewards because you're getting 12 of something and potentially 12 of something you don't want. One of the reasons we went quite low with it is because 4 materials don't take that big a chunk off of a mission reward. 12, you're starting to get into a place where you're probably not going to want to take a mission for 12 materials you don't want because the credits aren't enough. It needs to be balanced so that you can get enough credits out of it even if the materials aren't something that's perfect for you right now. You'll stick them in your pocket for later, but the credits is what you're hitting it for.
Okay. Okay, let's move on.
Oh no, there is a second part to that as well,
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
Recently the forums have been discussing the idea of the blueprints and commodities, and I believe one of the things to come out of that is that commodities are going to be not used in blueprints.
Yeah, we discussed this on last week's live stream with Sandy.
So one of the important things was one of the major reasons cargo was given was because it was one of the only ways to get certain commodities was through the missions.
Mm-hmm.
If there is no longer a need for those commodities to be there for the blueprints, we will potentially consider whether we should be giving cargo as a reward if it essentially just takes away from the credit and provides issues where people don't want the cargo and at times can't collect the mission because they don't have room in their hold and a variety of other problems that came from that. And the fact is, if you have the credits, you can probably go buy the stuff you want anyway. It's that old thing of, for Christmas, would you like a gift voucher or would you like cash?
Great.
But a gift voucher is just as good as cash.
Okay.
Well,
Any chance of increasing the time limit on the Colonia missions? 24 hours to get back to the pub with cargo is nearly very specific question. It's nearly impossible. Thank you, Wild Weasel.
So that was a bug, and that's been fixed.
Great.
We
So,
want to keep
yes.
Colonia missions within Colonia at the moment. We may, at some point, have missions going back to
Oh, I see.
the,
So
the,
yours.
the main bubble, but Colonia is for colonials.
Yeah. So the answer is not no. But
The answer is not no.
but it's kind of also not yes.
The answer is
Okay.
that there were no missions which
Yeah.
were meant to be going 22,000 light years from Colonia to the main bubble in 24 hours, and I fixed the unfortunate loophole where that was happening.
Okay.
That said, I've seen somebody did it, and that was amazing.
Yeah. Well done. All right. So I have found the.
Sorry,
You go ahead.
It's just, Sinead Sanvin asks why are credit payouts so gimped in comparison to the expected progression of zips. I just want to reiterate again that that is something that's potentially being looked at.
Okay. Doing millions and millions of tiny rewards missions for your next ship is discouraging. Yep. So that's something that is being looked at. There you go. That's a positive. So from Vasius, or yes. I have found the on-the-fly missions often in space to be quite fun, but very rare. Any plans to expand on them or provide... This is something we discussed earlier, isn't it?
There is a little bit extra here. That's,
okay.
Sorry, because we've gone through, sometimes we've got to the second
Yep.
question and added extra notes.
Yep.
And it's this is going to be horrible. This is terribly teasing. But there could be potential things in the future that will make this easier.
Okay.
But
That will make... What specifically?
Getting in-space missions or missions that aren't from the mission board potentially easier, more guaranteed, or more related to a player's action.
Excellent.
But that could be a way off.
No ETAs, no guarantees.
No ETAs, no guarantees, but
No, there's guarantees, just no ETAs.
there's no guarantees either.
Okay.
There's no guarantees, no ETAs, and there are lots of caveats.
Okay, Miss Doheis says, what went wrong with the mission generation system when passenger missions came online? Since then, there are hardly ever more than a scattering of missions available in total, regardless of rep or system state.
Yes. So what went wrong was passenger missions and normal missions were sharing an allocation, and in every test I'd run, this was fine. It went out into the live game, and it was not quite as fine. It was very swingy. In the current PTS build, it should be a lot less swingy. So the second part of this was, even in the beta, this still seems to be the case. As of Thursday, I broke something. It was fixed today, so
Okay.
it should be better now.
Very good. Fingers crossed.
No, I'm not
You're
going to
pretty
cross.
sure?
I looked. It's
Yeah.
working.
Good. All right.
Maybe.
There's a third element to this question, which is, could there be more missions that generate higher degrees of rep, influence, and payment? So payment, I'm doing a pass now. Once I've done a credit pass, so credits, cargo, materials, I will hopefully then be able to go back and do reputation, influence, that sort of thing. And the idea of a mission variant that gives more of one of these, unless the other is a good one. It's just that maintenance thing, and it's something we could definitely potentially look at in the future. But yeah, it takes a very long time to do these balancing passes just because of the scale. And once we've done credits, we'll move on to other things.
Fantastic. So I am watching the chat as well to see if any important questions come up, and we will grab them as well. Any more to add to that?
To that one, no. So
Just jump on the next one.
third part it's all Adam. So the next one was will Jack, which I assume is Jack as in Jack Station, get missions anytime soon? Yes. We have done most of the backup for that. It should be coming soon as in soon. I need to test it internally, but it should be working.
Great. Good to say. And all right, let's jump on that next one. Will Jax get any missions anytime?
That was the one
That's
we
what
were
I just
on.
done.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Next one addresses me directly from Barking Mad. Says, "Hi Adam."
You're right. You're right,
I'm
Ed.
just gonna go.
So he says, you once
I'm
explained
too
on a
embarrassed.
stream how complex generating missions is. That was the last stream, so if you missed it, have a look, because I think we did go over that. And how to largely design for edge cases.
I can't remember a question that was asked 2 minutes ago.
He basically asked, can we briefly explain some of the issues involved? So an example I would just say it will show the kind of the difference in our world, but if you have a mission going from one station, and so 2 missions, they both go from the one station, one goes to one place, and the station that you need to go to is literally next to the star. It takes you a minute to dock. The other one requires you to fly to Hutton Orbital, and that's a 90-minute difference. The difference there between that means trying to have a single mission template that serves both of those missions correctly. Yeah, that's just one of the things we have to consider. So that's probably the best and easiest to understand example. But it's that sort of thing where the scale of the game and the ability to know about the world, which is very, very difficult,
Yeah,
that makes all the difference in the world.
it does. Also for the mug, just reference there to.
Yes.
You made a reference to that.
Reference.
Yeah. All right, next one. Also, Merry Christmas, Barking Mad. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
Merry Christmas to everyone as well.
Hi.
Other holiday.
All of the
Happy
holidays.
holidays.
Happy holidays. Akadi says, hi. Will cargo mission rewards be made optional someday?
So, whilst we've answered this kind of that we're looking at whether they stay, there is also a thing of, oh no, this is completely irrelevant, but I'm going to tell you about it anyway. I'm going off
change
question.
cargo to material and it's still relevant.
Yeah, but I've just gone mad. I've gone off. But missions currently feature some wrinkles where they ask you to go to a new destination, often with passengers. That is being made optional. My brain obviously wanted me to tell you all that, but we've understood that people were annoyed by that. We can understand why. So, for example, in passenger missions, if they say that they would like to go somewhere else, you have the option to decline. However, obviously in passenger missions, that doesn't mean they'll be happy about it.
Yeah, and Isokix on the chat said, Dom, can you add missions without a client update? And the answer is an emphatic yes. Yes, we can. Missions exist on the web server and they are generated on the ED server, which is the transaction server, and then they were served to the client. So as long as the client knows how to work with those missions, which it generally does, then yes, we can do that.
Yes. But
Yes. So
we still have to spend quite a while
Dominic Yes
testing it and all that sort of thing, so it doesn't mean we can just be putting you out some new missions tomorrow.
Great. Combining that question, if there would be something like a checkbox next to the cargo reward that can be unchecked if I don't want to, that would do the trick. Oh wait, that was to do with missions with cargo rewards cannot be completed by ships that don't have the required cargo.
Yeah, if they do stay, that has been a conversation that's been had about whether we could get something that allows you to just, when you get to the other end, if you don't want it, kind of forgo it, maybe swap it for credits. The question is up in the air of whether we need that right now, if we're going to keep them, or whether we just need it for materials, but it's a fair bit of work and not something that's going to happen super soon.
It's probably going to be quite a long one. We're running a bit late.
Yeah, that one is a long one. And
it was just you've kind of covered it throughout as well, talking about.
Yeah, it's about how we make missions, and what I was going to do is go through the example that someone gave about what a mission was, and kind of say why what they'd written wasn't what we do, but that would take a while. Or why,
kind of, maybe you could perhaps answer that question on the forum. It's from
potentially.
From Backwards on Reddit.
Oh, is it backwards on backwards on Reddit?
But we can put a reply on Reddit, or somebody who has a Reddit account can do that.
Just send me an answer to the question.
Very easily, probably answer it in a couple of minutes. Just very briefly.
Go for
if you want.
Do it. Go for it quickly.
So he says the mission structure seems very simple on face value. Mostly, it's a go here, get this thing. Taking the surface scavenging escape pod rescue mission as an example, you need to get some commodity. So that's your first thing. It's not some commodity. What commodity is it? How much of it do we need? Is it illegal? Do we have to do certain other things? Do we need to make it mission unique? That sort of thing. There's so many things just for the cargo that we need to decide and needs to be correct for the place you're in and the place someone else is in over the other side of the galaxy. The very first thing you've done there becomes not as simple as what you've said in an instant, basically, and without going any further, the rest of the sentence is very similar things. For example, you say check the closest systems, and that becomes a whole world of pain.
Okay.
Yeah. So question 34: Allied faction status now seems to reduce the number of missions available. Is this a bug? Seems like other factions, cordial or below, offer more missions to me than Allied. I'm pretty sure this is confirmation bias, which is unfortunate. I think it's just that there was a faction which you were allied with who didn't have any missions for you, not that you were allied with them, so they had no missions for you.
How sure? Pretty sure. Has pretty sure.
Your faction status should not touch anything which makes missions available to you.
Okay.
It will lock missions off from you, but not make them invisible. So.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
I'd like to end on a final thing that isn't actually on here. There is already a thread on the forums where it's in the beta forums actually.
It's gone rogue.
This is the question on here.
Which refers to some of the things we've done in the beta and whether people can give feedback on whether things like potentially soon you are seeing more missions or how the rewards are. But there's also a conversation going on there about things like skimmer missions. So one of the big questions that keeps coming up is skimmers are sometimes seen as ships during missions, so you can kill a load of skimmers rather than just ships. That is something that is being looked at, and we potentially may have a fix. We don't know when that would go in for though. And the other thing is we have the ability to allow players to only take so many active missions of a certain type. So we probably wouldn't do it for delivery, but an example would be you could potentially only be allowed to take so many delivery questions, and whether we would like to use this for missions such as the skimmer missions, in which we as a system are not very good at coping with having multiple missions, and when you kill something, it iterates all the missions. Okay. So there is an issue there, and there's a conversation going on about it. And I've kind of listed there's 5 options there, and those are kind of options that are available to us at this time. Yeah, so the question is whether we do it and all that stuff. And the reason why the question is there is because I had to implement this system anyway for certain other missions. So there's a mission being tested in the PTS to do with the ancient ruins. We don't want you having more than one of that at the same time, so that's why that exists. So whether we do use it for anything else or not is a question, but the tech's already there. It's just what we use it for. And just to state that we've given you all the options. We haven't stated our own preference or anything. So just because there is an option there doesn't mean that we think it's the best one.
Great question for me specifically that's been apparently done 5 times throughout this stream.
Oh, is this William Berlin about the Python ship kits?
Python chip kits, yeah. I was literally going to get my phone out and text the store guy right now whilst you're on the stream, whilst we're waiting for this giveaway. But thank you, like I say, thank you so much for answering all these questions so openly, as I was just mentioned in the chat as well. We really do appreciate it. I'm going to send a text right now, Boris, to the guy. He might say, do not say anything. So we'll wait and see. But yeah, thank you very much. And like you said, head over to the forums to find the thread that already exists, answering a lot of this stuff and asking a lot of this lot of things. You're on there quite regularly. I know that you're on there pretty much all the time.
Well, I don't post.
You don't post, but you read.
I read.
You linger. You're a lingerer.
I read the Reddit quite a lot.
Yeah, a lot of us developers actually do that.
You really?
Yeah.
I'm not genuinely doing it.
Live texting with Ed.
With me. So while we wait,
well, if we are waiting for an answer, if people want to chuck up any cheeky last minute questions, go for it. We will probably say no.
There we go.
Someone's telling me I have a lot of work to do. I don't actually. I'm on holiday now.
Yeah, Dom is away forever.
Yeah, it's Christmas.
Is that one of the cheeky questions?
Will there be passenger transport missions to Jackson, the new bubble? As a design thing, we kind of want to keep Colonia as its own thing. It's meant to be a background sim little game, so we kind of want it to be its own bubble, for a better sense of the word, in which that you kind of act together within that bubble. In the future, that might change, and we might decide that actually we want some long distance missions, and that's entirely possible, especially missions going from Jax back to the bubble. But at the moment, because I do background sim and community stuff as well, Colonia is this really cool experiment where we're sending people out there into the black, into the dark, and just saying, you've all got some space out there, are you going to kill yourselves? Basically, it's a test of humanity and how quickly you all destroy each other.
Malk Riverside said, are you glad the Q&A stream's over? No, I would love to answer more questions, but I also am quite tired now.
Hungry.
And
text message sent, and we shall see if an answer appears. If I cannot guarantee, again, no ETAs, no promises, but we'll see if he manages to get back to me in time before the end of the stream. What we will do is do a giveaway of sorts.
Will Ed dye his beard a festive red? I think you should.
No, Sir Anthony Ross, I will not do that. Although I do appreciate.
Was that Anthony Ross?
It is Anthony Ross, yes.
Wow.
Anthony Ross, who, because of that, is never going to come on the live stream now.
Oh, shots fired.
Absolutely not.
Has he been
Anthony
embargoed
Ross
from the biscuits
has been
as well?
No, he should come on the biscuit reviews. We need Anthony Ross.
Have you run out of biscuits yet?
No, I've got a whole box of biscuits left to review. Let's do a giveaway. Let's do ourselves a little giveaway. I'm looking for the...
Sorry, quick one.
Go ahead.
AKA Big Worm 77, cracking name. Does the mission board have a timer for how long it keeps missions in memory before a new list is generated? So that the list is kind of regenerated piecemeal, and you kind of start getting a change in missions every 15 minutes. But a single mission will probably be on there for about an hour.
Okay.
Right?
Yes. So if you're the first person to have been there, if you're the first one to have been there within the hour, then we generate 4 banks of missions. Then every 15 minutes from there, when people go there and request missions, if it needs a new bank, it generates a new bank and kills the previous one. So they should stay for around an hour, and they are built into chunks.
Yeah. More complicated, but generally roughly like 15 minutes to an hour. If you stay somewhere 15 minutes, you should get some more missions.
It's like a Toblerone, but you take off the end piece, and then a new piece grows on the end.
Other festive triangular-based chocolates are available.
It's like a dairy milk bar, but you break off one.
We can get away with that. All right, so...
Ooh, prize packs.
Prize packs. So look in there. That's that page that I just posted out on the Elite Dangerous account says... look in here for the Gravity Pack, because that's the pack that we're going to be giving away. Head over to that forum page I just linked. Ooh. Basically, they want to say one phrase in the chat, and I'm going to pick somebody at random to win the Gravity Pack. So, what do you think?
I think Dom should create the phrase.
What's the phrase be?
Create the phrase.
Yep.
Something revolving around saying the word no, maybe?
Yes.
Well, I mean, someone said Dom says no, so maybe we should just go with that. Dom says no.
Dom says no. There you go. Dom says no.
Extra points for saying no in different ways.
Yeah.
Such as negative or nope.
You can throw
that's totally
your
negatory.
ghosts in the chat down as well if you want. We've got some little ghosts to bring the Sandra Samarco vibe back in as well. I'm having a look on this text. Unfortunately, I've not received a text message yet. No.
Oh wow, Dom says 9.
That's a good one. Yep. Do you know what we should have done? We should have said Happy Holidays, Dom, because you're basically going away on holiday now.
Yeah, somebody
holidays,
said
Dom.
already. It's like, I don't have a life, so I didn't use any of my holiday this year.
Wow.
I'm sorry, I was
Alright.
spending too much time developing the game.
Stop saying that now. I'm going to pick somebody, but thank you,
Wow.
again, guys. I want to say
One of those was rude.
I want to say thank you for coming along.
Oh, thank you for having us.
And I hope that you got your messages across that you wanted to sort of explain.
I hope people understand the mission system a little bit better now. I hope.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Me too. Me too.
I think the important thing to take away is we read all your great creative ideas and we want them as much as you do, if not probably
more.
maybe a little bit more. It's just we can't get there as quick as your imagination. We're trying our best.
Okay.
Dom is awesome, and ghosts.
And ghosts. Dom says no.
Well, Osric wins. I don't care what the...
No, he can't win.
Oh,
He can't-
okay.
it's
He's always
randomly
in.
Osric,
generated.
you don't win from saying that. He's going to roll a die.
Okay.
I think
Right.
on your thing you should use the number 38.
Should use the... Okay, no, I can't do that. Again, that's also...
Yeah, it has to be non-predetermined. It has to actually be
Yep.
pseudo-random.
Of course it does. Pseudo-random, that's right. I like that. Pseudo-random.
It would still be pseudo-random. It's not like they knew 7
All right.
people had...
Got it.
77? 37 people had gone before. But it's,
And it is... Ooh, is that an I? Ions UK. Ions...
Or Loans UK?
UK. Loans UK. Tune into Loans UK now. Anyway.
Have you been denied a personal loan?
All right.
Dom says no.
Okay. All right. Loans UK or Ions UK, if you could send an email to community@frontier.co.uk with your commander details, and I will have the gravity pack added to your account as early as tomorrow morning.
Congratulations.
And also do send us a PM from your YouTube account to this account as well, so we can see, so I can verify you and make sure that you're not lying to me. Nobody's done it yet. Nobody's done it
No?
yet. Nobody's done it yet.
Nobody's done what?
Nobody's lied or tried to win paint job packs. Or
You've
anything
just
like
asked for that a little
that.
bit.
Don't do it
Oh,
because
okay.
it's.
Ed, can I have a paint job pack? I'm Loans UK.
You can have one, yeah.
Cheers.
All right.
Cool.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
And again, one more time, thank you. Can you please put some love in the chat for Adam
Hi.
and for Dominic? Thank you very much, guys. And we will see you next time, of course. I mean,
What is up next?
what is up next? Well, we've got the 24-hour Christmas live stream.
Easy. Knock that one out of the
Yeah,
park.
which is next Monday coming up, a week yesterday. So do come along. Head over to Just Giving. Yeah, look at the love, by the way.
Yeah.
justgiving.com/frontierdev. We've already raised over £20,000.
Which is fantastic.
Yes. So thank you
Good
guys
to you
so
guys.
much. And we're going to be giving
And
loads
who's
of...
it for?
It's for Special Effect, who are a wonderful charity who
Amazing.
help people with disabilities use technology. So it's not just video games, but of course we love video games, so we point towards that sort of thing. But it's just technology in general, which just makes people's lives so much easier. And with the video game side specific stuff, it also just helps bring that little bit of joy into their lives as well, which is lovely. Yeah, and so do go over there, do donate, and come along and watch us do the 24-hour stream. Both Bo and I are doing it as well. Bo doing Planet Coaster. We're doing it at the same time. We're going to have live musical guests. There's all sorts of crazy stuff happening that we're doing throughout the night. And loads of giveaways and everything. So every pound that you donate
It's going to be
puts you into the
fantastic.
raffle.
Yeah, there's a raffle.
It's going to be pretty crazy. So do that. Come along. And yeah, Dom, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas and a New Year
And a happy...
and Hanukkah and all the
the-
other
Happy holidays,
happy
everyone.
Holidays. Happy holidays. Thanks, guys. Bye.